Hello, wonderful people in the world, spiritual seekers and friends of the Universal Mastermind. This is Kristos with a new episode from Germany. Right now, I am finishing here about 10 days of work. I had a wonderful workshop, a 3-day workshop about Hecate and various rituals that I taught to some wonderful people here. And I just realized it's warm, it's quiet, and I had nothing else to do. So I thought this is the moment to record another episode. And from all the experiences now being on the road for almost a little over 4 months, pretty much over 4 months, in my head, I went again through the themes of the sessions that I experienced quite a bit. And a common theme that I wanted also to dedicate this episode to is loneliness and when is it enough. So I feel that we should dive a little bit together into this world of loneliness, which is for me a realm that dwells not just within the absence of others, but within the depths of our very essence. And this journey is not one of despair necessarily, but of profound introspection and discovery. From my perspective, loneliness in its essence can be perceived as a call from our soul, a beckoning towards a deeper understanding of our place in the universe. It is a state that compels us to look beyond the physical and connect with the metaphysical aspects of our being. Here, in this silent conversations with our inner self, we uncover the layers of our existence that are intertwined with the cosmos, basically. This solitude becomes a sacred space where we can encounter the universal truth that binds us all, revealing that our feelings of isolation are but an illusion, a temporary veil that shrouds our inherent interconnectedness with all of existence. From a spiritual standpoint, solitude offers a unique opportunity for growth and enlightenment, and it is in these moments of seclusion that many have found their most profound spiritual awakening. The quietude allows for a clear channel of communication with the divine, enabling us to hear the whispers, if you want, of the universe that are often drowned out by the cacophony of daily life. And the solitude is not about loneliness, but about forming a deeper bond with the spiritual essence that permeates everything. So I do believe that loneliness is an essential message of our soul when we are not listening or hearing ourselves anymore, that it produces an essence, a frequency, if you want, for lack of a better word, where we can hear ourselves again. And to me, it is here in the embrace of solitude that we can undergo a transformation, shedding layers of ego and uncovering the true self that resides within, hopefully. Psychologically, of course, loneliness and solitude prompt a journey into the recess of our mind, providing a canvas for introspection and self-discovery. This journey can be both daunting and enlightening, but it always reveals the multifaceted nature of our psyche. How often I've heard people in moments of deep depression, of deep loneliness, of deep, almost the feeling of abandonment, that then in that moment they started their journey or went for therapy or took a holistic medicine or frequencies or meditation or open a spiritual book or a philosophical book for that matter, just to find some kind of answer. And I think this is what loneliness does, is it says you don't hear yourself anymore. You're not reflecting yourself anymore. So here is a message. The solitude becomes a mirror, basically. It allows us to confront our deepest fears and insecurities and desires and challenging us to grow and evolve. It's reflecting not just our own image, but the complex emotions and thoughts that shape our perception of self and others. through this exploration, we can learn to navigate then the landscape of our inner world and finding peace and understanding in the midst of solitude. Perhaps the most intriguing aspect for me of loneliness is the paradox it represents, because I feel the most connected when I'm alone. And of course, I live now in a quite a long relationship and quite intense relationship. Most of you know that I spend nearly every minute with Foster, and we like being with each other. That's not a question. And sometimes, quite often actually, it's really nice to be alone. And I don't feel disconnected. I feel that I need to hear myself. And I feel also that in loneliness, we can hear our own echo if we really pay attention. It is moments when I feel deepest isolation that I am inadvertently connected to a shared human experience that transcends time and space sometimes. It sounds very dramatic, but this is how I experience it. And this universal strand of loneliness binds us together, reminding us that to feel alone is to be profoundly human. It is through acknowledging that loneliness, that we can reach out and forging connections that are deeper and more meaningful. And when we explore these dimensions, we invite ourselves to reflect on our own experiences and maybe see that loneliness and solitude are not that bad or that dramatic. I also don't think that a depression, if it's not chronic and severe, is that negative. You know, we've been told so often to approach certain experiences with a certain label, and so we are hell-bent to treat depressions, and so we are hell-bent in treating the heck out of everything without asking ourselves why it's there in the first place and what is the importance in it. You see, for me, loneliness also speaks about the concept of enough. When is it enough? Enough delves into the profound realms of self-acceptance and worthiness and personal fulfillment. It's a journey that transcends satisfaction, just satisfaction with one's achievements of status or, you know, these superficial elements, and touches the core of our existence. This exploration can be incredibly enriching for a human being to acknowledge depression, acknowledge loneliness, acknowledge solitude, and maybe see if there is an underlying theme. And I call this theme the enough. It's enough theme. Like everything, life is a journey. It has to be seen and understood as a continuous exploration of self. And this exploration can be incredibly enriching because it offers insights into our nature, what self-esteem means, the pursuit of happiness and the quest of, or the meaning of life. Life doesn't come with the meaning. We give life meaning. At the heart of feeling enough lies the quest of self-acceptance. It's a journey inward, and where the goal is not to change who we are to meet external expectations, but to embrace our authentic selves with all our flaws and strengths. This process involves shedding the layers of societal conditioning and the relentless pursuit of perfection that can leave us feeling perpetually inadequate. It's about recognizing that our worth is inherent, not contingent upon achievements, accolades, or the approval of others. Society often peddles the myth of perfection, suggesting that there is a pinnacle of achievement, appearance, a status that once reached will render us enough. I mean, God knows we give people who kill themselves to stream against the stream, we give them awards because we admire them so much that they idiotically tried to swim against the stream as if there was some way to reach a different point of experience, the river always flows in one direction, and when we flow against it, it will cost us existence. And so, be encouraged, I hope, to redefine success on your very own terms, acknowledging that being enough is a state of mind and not a list of accomplishments. Embracing our vulnerabilities is also, I think, a pivotal step towards feeling enough. It requires the courage to acknowledge our insecurities and imperfections, not as a weakness, but as facets of our very own humanity. This openness fosters deeper connections with others, as it hopefully invites genuine interaction, free from the facades of invulnerability. In sharing our true selves, we discover that our vulnerabilities do not diminish our worth, but rather enhance the authenticity of our human experience. And that's why I feel that mindfulness practices, as the very basic, very simple practice, offer profound insights into the concept of being enough. By anchoring ourselves in the present moment, we can transcend the incessant chatter of our mind that tells us we are lacking. This awareness enables us to appreciate the abundance within and around us, fostering a sense of gratitude for our existence as it is, not as we think it should be. It's in this state of presence that we can truly feel enough, embracing the fullness of our lives without the need of external validation. That's why my Kabbalah training that I want to say perfected, for lack of a better word, but truly transformed as a system, as a pathwork, with one ideal, which is to delete all external validation and allow only the inner feeling of choice to remain a fundamental core of your value. If you're interested in this, there are some workshops that I do, and there are Vimeos that we have. So there's enough material if that is something that you feel calling you. So ultimately, feeling enough is a very personal journey. When you self-discover, it invites you to question your deepest beliefs about worth and success, and urging you to strip away the layers of these outer expectations and self-imposed limitations. This journey is not about arriving at a destination where we feel perpetually sufficient, but about cultivating a mindset that allows us to appreciate our intrinsic value at every moment of our lives. And so in the preparation to this podcast, or episode rather, I had a little chat with my guide, and I said, how do we approach these sensations that we're observing in the world right now, where I feel that everybody in the world now feels entitled to produce a little mini Gaza in their own life to justify, their own dramas. I don't mean this in any way disrespectful, but it's a little bit absurd, I have to say, how people with really no reason to complain at all put themselves into a place where they pretend to understand what these people are going through. And in fact, everybody who goes through an inner and outer war is going through. Anyway, I talked to my guide and I said, you have to explain this to me. How can we counteract all this? And my guide said, well, find the humor in humanity. And that's why I call this episode The Comedy of Human Nature, finding truth in everyday humor. My guide said, basically, the chaos of everyday life, which is a creative and fundamental productive chaos, of course, humor emerges as the most vibrant thread, intertwining with the mundane to offer us moments of joy and revelation. It's in these flashes of humor that we often catch glimpses of the larger truth about human nature. From the slapstick of a person slipping on a banana peel to the sharp wit of a timely joke during a meeting, humor not only provides relief, but also reflects and critiques our social behaviors and personal idiosyncrasies. I have to mention a story which the great late, the amazing Joan Rivers used to tell herself, and it really stayed with me. And when I prepared this subject in this podcast, she told a story that when her husband committed suicide, that of course everybody was distraught, and the wonderful Melissa Rivers, of course, was like a teenager, I believe. And after a certain time, she decided, John decided to go to Wolfgang Puck's Beverly Hills restaurant to eat something and get out of the house. And so they sat down and got their menus, and she looked at everything, and she said at some point, Melissa, if your father would be alive and see these prices, he would kill himself all over again. And Joan says, Melissa laughed. And I found that so profoundly joyful and so profoundly sad and loving, because it was really about trying to find a way out of the darkness, out of the depression, out of the loneliness. And humor, I think, is a wonderful tool and subject that is so specific to our human nature that we can use. And so consider the absurdity of daily rituals, for example. And when we look at morning commute, a universal experience for many and filled with its own set of rituals and peculiarities, there's humor to be found in the synchronized, almost robotic ingestion of coffee as computers brace themselves for the day. And the scene, often played out in silent solidarity, highlights a collective dependency on caffeine that borders on the absurd. It's a humorous observation of how certain substances have become crutches in our daily lives, pointing to a larger truth about the modern condition and our constant search for stimulation and alertness in a demanding world. And so there is a certain irony, even in the technology dependence department. In the realm of technology, there's an ample material for humor. Who hasn't laughed at themselves or others for walking to a pole while texting, or experienced a mixed frustration and amusement when a smart device fails spectacularly at a basic task? These moments serve as humorous critiques of our growing dependence and on technology, suggesting that perhaps in our quest to simply live life, we have invited more complexity instead. That's why I love TikTok. I think it's very funny, and I specifically always look for creators who produce some very funny, very humorous, very personal content. Yeah. The irony that devices designed to connect us often lead to more profound disconnection is not lost on the casual observer, embodying a humorous contradiction that is distinctly human. And so social media platforms, where many share meticulously curated lives, to say the least, also provide a fertile ground for humor. The contrast between the person's portrayal of a perfect life and the less glamorous reality is truly a rich source of laughter here. Here, humor unveils the truth about our vanity and our deep-seated desire for approval. It reflects our vulnerability and how our often misguided efforts, if you want to say, to appear more successful, more adventurous, thinner, happier, younger than we actually are. And the humor derived from social media fails, or the ironic enjoyment of influencer mishaps underscores our collective engagement in a facade, highlighting our innate desire to be seen and liked. Workplace interactions also offer a microcosm of human social dynamics and ripe with comedy potential, from the overzealous use of buzzwords to the classic water cooler gossip session. These scenarios reveal truths about workplace culture and human interaction. They poke fun at our attempts to navigate professional environments peppered with both spoken and unspoken rules. Humor emerges as a coping mechanism and a form of social commentary, pointing out the absurdities of hierarchical structures and the often pantomime nature of office politics. I do look sometimes at certain contents and then turn on off the music. It's profoundly funny. Humor as a mirror and a window. In every laugh triggered by an everyday event, there's an underlying narrative about who we are as people. Humor acts both as a mirror, reflecting our flaws, our fears, our shadows, and as a window into a broader human experience. It allows us to confront the realities of our nature in a manner that is not only palatable, but also enjoyable. By laughing at the oddities of life and our own peculiarities, we not only entertain ourselves, but also connect with deeper truths about the human condition. Thus, in humor, there is wisdom, it's revealing, it's critiquing, and ultimately celebrating our shared humanity. And so my guide, I feel, has quite a smart view on things. And he told me the most funny thing is what we don't expect. A fun fact, as we say in English, is that spirit guides have a lot of humor and mostly have a great big laugh on our expense because they can't believe sometimes the stunts we pull or the things we believe. And in retrospect, of course, we look at our own life and think, God, I was an idiot. Why did I even believe in this? What did I react to this? Why was I so dramatic about this? And I really feel that humor and the willingness to explore the humor in humanity, the humor in loneliness, the humor in, I want to say, in sadness, in tragedy, helps us to survive. And humor and laughter is profoundly spiritual in nature. One of my favorite jokes of all time is a man comes to a doctor and is completely desperate and says, Doctor, you've got to help me. I'm so desperate. I can't remember anything I say or do or think. The moment I remember it, it's gone. I don't know if anyone loves me, if I have children, if I have hurt anyone. I don't know who I am. I forget my name. I don't know where I live. I don't know if I have friends. I don't know if I have done anything that I wanted to finish. It's all gone the moment I remember it. And the doctor says, that is horrible. Since when do you have this problem? And the man replies, what problem? And so I hope you had a nice laugh about this. In human experience, humor transcends its role as mere entertainment to become a vital spiritual practice, particularly in the form, and I'm sure you heard about it, laughing yoga. This unique blend of laughter and yogic breathing exercises not only enhances physical health, but also addresses the emotional scars of loneliness, isolation, and depression. As humor digs deep into the soil of human interactions, it reveals its power to heal and connect, serving as a beacon of light in the darker chapters of our lives. Laughter yoga, a practice that combines intentional laughter exercises with yogic breathing, taps into the medicinal properties of laughter. Scientific studies have shown that laughter boosts the immune system, decreases stress hormones, and increases endorphins, the body's natural painkillers and mood enhancers. This makes laughing yoga an effective, accessible tool for combating the physical symptoms of stress and depression. In sessions, participants often start with simulated laughter, but soon transition into genuine contagious laughter, creating a collective atmosphere of joy and release. The practice of yoga and laughing yoga also addresses the profound issues of loneliness and social isolation. Group sessions provide a safe space where individuals stripped of the usual social hierarchies and constraints can connect authentically with others. This shared vulnerability opens up new pathways for interpersonal connection, of course, forging bonds that may extend beyond the confines of the class. In a world where isolation has become increasingly prevalent, laughing yoga offers a communal experience that can reintegrate individuals into the warmth of community life. At its core, humor, in the context of laughing yoga, for example, can be a form of spiritual enlightenment, offering insights into the absurdities of human existence and inviting a lighter, more playful approach to life's challenges. By learning to laugh at our circumstances and ourselves, we gain a healthier perspective that can transform despair into resilience. This transformation is not just about finding humor in adversity, but about reshaping our approach to life's inevitable struggles. Incorporating humor through practices deliberately can significantly enhance mental health strategies. It acts as a complementary therapy, offering an alternative to traditional mental health treatments that might seem daunting or stigmatizing to some. For those suffering from depression or anxiety and loneliness, this kind of fun approach, humor approach, provides a dual benefit: the psychological relief of laughter and the emotional support of a community. So I hope you might feel inspired to create laughing yoga or laughing groups, humor groups. Let's just make jokes and just laugh like children without rhyme or reason, just to feel better. Humor, especially within the practice of spirituality, emerges really not only as a source of temporary amusement, but as a profound healing tool. It alleviates, as I mentioned before, the weight of loneliness and reduces the sting of isolation and brightens the shadows of depression. As both a mirror and a window, humor reflects our vulnerabilities and opens new vistas of connection and understanding. By embracing humor as a spiritual practice, we not only enrich our individual lives, but also we weave stronger, more compassionate communities. Thus, in the echoes of shared laughter, we find a powerful antidote to the challenges of modern life, celebrating and healing a shared humanity. So I hope that this podcast will inspire you to look at your loneliness and your isolation sometimes as something very profoundly important, because it really means, what do you hear? Who do you hear? What is the echo of your own soul? And to create some mindfulness around this feeling of solitude and counteract all these outer crazy aspects that we see at the moment with humor. I really laugh a lot when I see people. Also, I make fun and jokes about things that, not publicly, because people feel these days all sorts of, let's call it sensitive, and take things incredibly personal these days. But it's fun. It's fun to see people take off and become absurd and become jokes and become memes. I think that's a great compliment when you end up on some on a TikTok with your face being interpreted as a channel for fun, enjoyment. At least you make people for a second not feel their loneliness or their isolation or their depression or their whatever drags them down the drain. And so in the shortness of this episode, I hope you feel inspired to look at things from a little bit a healing perspective and the healing power of humor, of course. So as my guide said, find your humor about humanity and just laugh and just have fun and just know that things will pass. Things always pass in the end, and laugh with God and laugh with the universe. Because if you think that God has no humor, then just look at the person next to you. Oh, I'm curious. Also, I wanted to ask you, did you hear about the claustrophobic astronaut? He just needed a little space. this should be a perfect reminder that sometimes all you need to find joy and connection is a little humor and the right company. And I want to thank you that you've been with me today. I hope you feel a little inspired and you have a reason to laugh and find the joy, and go on into social media and look up the most funniest things you can find and simply enjoy the endorphins rushing through your system. Until we meet again, take care.